Hello everyone and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today we're going to be discussing why Republicans have way more advantages than they used to have and could possibly win 2024 by a much larger majority than 2020 or 2016. So yeah, let's get into that. So Republicans, they won 2016, won 2020, and now 2024 is going to be a very contentious election because they both have their wins, but now it's extremely divided and you're going to need to work your butt off to win the nomination and win the presidency for any candidate in any party. So we have the front runners, we have Biden and Trump. They're more likely than not to be the nominee. They don't really have any serious challengers for their nominations. DeSantis is pretty much the only real challenger, but if you've seen the polls, he hasn't been really doing that good, so he's not going to win the nomination. So we got Trump and Biden. They've battled in 2020. Biden won that, and now it's going to be a fiercer fight in 2024 because we've seen both of their presidential runs and what they would do if they are president. So, yeah, we have two former presidents battling it out for a divided country. So, every both parties need everything that they need to win the election, because if you don't have every single advantage, you're not going to win, because it's such a divided election that you pretty much need everything to fall in your favor in order to win the election, because if you don't, then your opponent has more advantages than you and you are going to lose. But looking at the polls, Republicans are likely to have more of an advantage, and that's due to a lot of factors, but let's get the safe states out of the way. These are going to vote Republican and Democrat no matter what, so let's start off with the Republicans. Montana, all of these Midwestern, pretty much empty states that never vote Democrat, I don't think ever, and really I've never seen them vote Democrat. They'll probably never vote Democrat, even if this is a very blue wave year and very friendly to Democrats. I could really not see these states voting Democrat. And Iowa and Ohio are probably going to be added to that because, given trends there, they're becoming safe states. And I don't really see Democrats winning Iowa or Ohio. Ohio, Senate election there, but that's pretty much a fluke. And after 2024, the Senate is going to go Republican, and Democrats' days in Ohio are numbered. Iowa, all of it is Republican. Democrats have completely lost any chance of winning Ohio and Iowa, and honestly, they're pretty safe, and I don't really see them voting Democrat. And you got all these other southern states which will probably never vote Democrat in their life, and Florida, you could make a case that it's a safe red state, but it's more likely because it's so recent and we haven't seen enough data to prove that it's a real safe red state, but it is trending there. It will probably become a safe red state given trends, but for now you're just going to have to wait, and we have to see if it will truly be a red state or it will be just a fluke and go back to being a more contentious state. And yeah, you got the 2nd District of Maine. So those are the safe red states. You got a likely blue state in there, and they could have redistricted Nebraska, but they didn't, and now it's going to go Democrat because you had the opportunity to redistrict it and you just didn't. So now it's going to vote Democrat and you just completely lost it. So it was a really stupid idea to do that. And you got the safe blue states here. You got the entire West Coast. You got Colorado. New Mexico, given Hispanic trends and the fact that you can look towards the Texas southern region with Hispanic trends, it's kind of happening in New Mexico where they're moving more to the right and they aren't voting Democrat that often anymore. So they're moving towards the right and they're voting more Republican, but New Mexico is still a pretty Democrat friendly state. if it wasn't for those Hispanic trends, it would be a safe blue state. But right now, given the trends, it will probably be a more contentious state than something like Colorado, which Colorado is completely lost. You're not winning that anymore. And just given the trends there, it's not flipping red anytime soon and probably will never. You got Illinois. Minnesota is a pretty likely blue state. Minneapolis and Duluth basically rule the entire state. And all the rural areas just don't show up enough to actually flip the state. But you do have the rural trends and the Midwestern appeal that, yeah, there's a slim chance that it could go red, but I'm not really begging on it. I'm not wishing for it. It's not going to go red, and if you focus any resources towards trying to flip it red, that's just a waste of money. It's not. It's just that Minneapolis pretty much controls the entire state, and you're not going to win it. So, yeah, you got the New England area, pretty much an exclusive Democrats section. New Hampshire, there's some Republican sympathies there, mainly with the governorship, but yeah, it's pretty likely going to vote blue. Massachusetts, Connecticut, all of these New England states, they're never going to vote Republican at all. Yeah, they have some Republican voters in them, but they're not big enough to actually put up a tough fight other than New Hampshire and Maine. But with Maine, it's pretty likely going to go Democrat. We could win Maine at large. That could be a possibility. We could win Maine at large in New Hampshire, but all these other states, no, they're not really going to do that. Virginia is a pretty likely blue state. You do have Youngkin as governor. That could help things out. You could flip it to a leans blue state, but given how the state votes during a presidential election, it's still going to be a likely blue state. It's probably not going to go red. If it is the best case scenario and Republicans have the greatest night of their lives, it could kind of go red. It might go red, but I'm not really wishing and hoping for it because you just have the DC area, you have the east coast of it, and it's really not going to look good for Republicans there despite the governorship. So it's a pretty sad thing to see because we gained the governorship and that was pretty impressive, but given the trends there and past voting records, it's not going to flip anytime soon. So, yeah, let's get into the likely Republican states. Texas, it's getting redder and redder. It was a safe red state, kind of got close, and then now it's going back given the Hispanic trends. The the Democrat strategy of allowing all of these illegal immigrants in and having them have children and they gain citizenship, it kind of is just backfiring because they're just voting Republican because pretty much the only reason why the illegal immigrants and the children of the illegal immigrants, the reason why the Hispanic Trends voted Democrat were because they were the party that wasn't going to deport them and wasn't going to and was trying to give them citizenship. Outside of that, they are like full hardcore conservatives. They are very religious and tend to vote a lot on Republican policies, and they mainly just vote Democrat so they don't get deported. But with that loosening, it's not really going to change. And given the trends now that they don't need to worry about that, they're going to have all their other opinions expressed and they're going to show that, hey, we don't really like a lot of these Democrat policies. We just voted for you so we can actually stay here. But the trends there are going far right. You look at Texas, even in 2020, you look at Texas and a lot of these states would be more and more Democrat. And you look at these trends and they are shooting towards the right, like 30 points, 20 points. It's pretty amazing to see that these areas have gone so Republican because of the Hispanic trends there. And that is pretty impressive. So you got the trends there. Texas, I don't know why people say it's going to go blue, but it's a pretty likely red state and will go red. It's just a lot of factors. It's not going to go blue. I don't really see it going blue at all. In a very blue wave year, it could probably be within 5 points, but that's at best. Even if Ted Cruz can be a senator there, even though he's extremely unpopular and still win, that's a testament to how Republican Texas is and how it really doesn't like Democrats at all and is a very Republican state. So, yeah, it's not going to go blue anytime soon. Alaska, again, you have that Senate race where that's kind of knocking it down from being a safe red state, where the Senate went blue in Alaska. That's mainly due to their weird voting system. I don't know why they have that. It's just messing up votes where you have this party that should win the Alaska, but then they don't because of the wonky voting system, and it's just stupid. I don't know why they adopted that. It I do kind of know why they adopted it, which is to give Democrats more of an edge when most of the state is Republican. So I understand that, but it's still kind of stupid. But yeah, you have the third likely Republican state, Florida. Now, Florida, you can make a case that it's a safe red state, but you gotta wait for the trends. Past this election, yeah, will probably be a safe red state, but for now, it still has Democrat tendencies, and it's not extremely it's pretty recent that it was a Democrat or swing state, so you got the trends there, and you just gotta wait for it to be a safe red state. It still hasn't graduated to that. North Carolina, yeah, it's a pretty lean red state. Even in 2020, it still voted Republican, and it was kind of close, but it still voted Republican in a very blue wave year. So, given the fact that Democrats and Joe Biden, they don't have that much of a advantage than 2020, it's probably going to go Republican. So, now we have the swing states. These are the ones that are going to win you the election. We've gotten through all the other states which will probably go Republican or Democrat, and they'll probably do that any year, even if it's a blue wave or red wave year. These are the ones that will decide the election. So let's go to the Midwest, and then we'll do Nevada, Arizona, and then finish off with Georgia. So the Midwest has a large white working class base, and if you can harness that base, you will win every single Midwest state. And that is a thing that Trump excels at, and he is very good at appealing to that base because it's pretty much the majority of his base, which is kind of the reason why Wisconsin goes so red, where Wisconsin is trending towards the right, and you have that white working class base, which is a very large part of Wisconsin, and they vote Republican because the Republicans have nailed that white working class base. And if they turn them out, you do see a lot of these states go Republican, where something like 2020, Trump was not able to turn out that base, and he did not focus on it, where in 2016, when he did focus on it and he did turn them out, he won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He won a lot of these states, and you got to pull out that base if you are going to want to win any of these swing states. But most importantly, the Midwest is what you want to win to win the presidency. And you have these swing states, which are white working class, and they have that Midwestern feel where if you have a Midwestern appeal and a white working class appeal, you will win the states. So Wisconsin will probably go red, and let's go on to Michigan. Now, Michigan, I've changed my opinion on recently. I thought Democrats were more likely than not going to win it, where they have a lot of benefits and a lot of advantages compared to Republicans because the Republican Party in Michigan is such a failure and such a absolute disaster that they are more likely than not going to harm Trump's chances at winning Michigan, but there is a recent thing that came out where there are polls showing that the third parties, the no label and green parties, they are affecting the race in Michigan and a lot of these states, and they are actually tying Donald Trump and Joe Biden in the state, where these third parties are acting as spoilers, where you have the Greens and No Labels Party, and they are Democrat parties, where they vote on the same liberal agendas, so they are likely to pull votes away from Joe Biden. So right now, as Joe Biden is an incumbent president, they are tied in Michigan. So the third parties, ironically, are going to help Republicans when normally they are the libertarians who take away votes from Republicans. And I believe that Michigan right now, given the polls, I think it might go Republican just due to those third parties. If the third parties aren't there, yeah, it's probably going to go Democrat, but given now with the third parties and the fact that they are likely to take votes away from Joe Biden, I think that he could pull it out and win Michigan. So, Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania is a very weird case where it was very close in 2020. Republicans lost the Senate race there, and yeah, you just gotta focus on winning this rural area. And in 2022 and 2020, they were not able to pull it out, and even then, it was still very, very close in 2020. And there was a lot of reasons why we lost in 2022 in Pennsylvania. But Trump needs to first pull out that Republican base in Pennsylvania, which is in these rural areas. You got to pull out the sort of suburb areas, which are around Philadelphia. And if you can pull those out, you can win the state. And given that Trump has more of an appeal in Pennsylvania, I think that he could narrowly win it. And kind of the Joe Biden appeal in where he's from, Delaware, it's kind of worn off. So I don't think that he could probably use that appeal in where he's from, Delaware, because it's worn off and he can't really pull on the Delaware I'm close enough to Pennsylvania appeal. He can't work on that, so he doesn't really have that going for him. So likely Trump will get Pennsylvania by a narrow margin, but he will still get it. So let's move on to Nevada. Nevada, I can already say Republican. So Nevada has been trending right, kind of like Wisconsin, and Nevada is a more Republican state because a lot of these Northern Californians who vote conservative, they are moving to Nevada to escape California with its safe blue policies. So it's making Nevada way more conservative, and you have these more rural areas, and Las Vegas and Reno are kind of losing a lot of their political power in Nevada. So I think Trump could win it in 2024, but it will still be a close race, and Nevada has voted Democrat before. But given the trends there, I think I'm going to have to call it for Republicans. Now, Arizona. Arizona is a very, very weird state where Trump won it in 2016 and he lost it in 2020. But still, it was very close in 2020. But given the trends there, you have a lot of these counties, which, like Phoenix and Tucson, a lot of these counties are trending Democrat and more Democrat. So you can't really pull out these Republican voters because they're trending more and more Democrat. And given the trends in the state, honestly, I don't think Trump can win it. Where this might be the swing state where Trump is just unable to win it, where Trump has pretty much less appeal in it, and he doesn't have that Sun Belt appeal. He has the Midwest appeal and the Rust Belt appeal, but he doesn't have enough benefits and advantages to win Arizona, and just given trends there, I don't think he can outweigh those trends. So it will go Democrat likely. So that is going for Joe Biden, and Arizona is the most pro-Democrat state. But Georgia, okay, so Georgia is probably a very contentious state and will most likely be the most contentious state in the 2024 election, probably outside of Michigan, where it is probably on the same level as Michigan as Republicans. They have historically won the state. They have that rural area voter base, and they have the white working class base within Georgia. But Democrats have the Atlanta base, where they have the left leaning suburbs, where it pretty much is decided between if the Atlanta suburbs keep moving Democrat or if they don't show up in enough numbers where they trend more Democrat and Republicans can win the state again. So it's really banking on whether or not the suburbs vote or if they trend more Democrat. So really, I think I'm just going to have to call it for Democrats. Just given the trends there, it's going to go Democrat, where you have the Atlanta suburbs going more and more Democrat, where I don't think you can really outweigh that. It's probably going to be gone from now on. Could they win it? Yeah, Republicans probably could win it, but outside of that, past this election, they're going to have pretty much no chance of winning it. And honestly, it's a pretty sad thing to see, but you're just going to have to deal with it. So we have the map 285 to 253, very tight election. Will probably be a very, very contentious election, and Republicans pretty much only need to focus on winning Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. If they focus on that, they will win the election. So it will be a very tight election, but Republicans will barely manage to edge it out and win the presidency. So if you think Democrats could win, leave that in the comments below. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.